Welcome to today's deep dive. Imagine someone takes a multi-billion-dollar supercomputer, right? Like the most advanced piece of tech ever conceived.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And they just drop it into the deepest, darkest trench of the Pacific Ocean.
Hmm.
So it's completely isolated down there. It's running perfectly, doing these infinitely complex simulations, but
But there's no one around to actually look at the monitor.
exactly, absolutely no one. So the question for you, the listener, is this. Does that computer actually have a purpose? Or is it just, an incredibly expensive heater for deep-sea fish?
Wow, that's a really strange scenario to picture, but it goes right to the heart of how we view our own existence, doesn't it?
It really does. We tend to think of the universe as this massive, indifferent machine. And we just see ourselves as these microscopic, accidental passengers, just sort of along for the ride.
Right, which is basically the defining existential dread of the modern era. We look through telescopes at billions of galaxies, and the immediate psychological response is just assuming we're mathematically insignificant.
We just assume the universe would carry on perfectly fine if we weren't here. But what if that assumption is entirely backwards?
Which is what we're exploring today.
Yeah, exactly. What if, going back to that supercomputer in the ocean, humanity is the observer necessary to actually read the screen? What if you are the ultimate necessary puzzle piece that keeps the entire cosmos from collapsing into complete meaninglessness?
It's a huge claim.
It is. Today's deep dive is going to completely flip the script on human insignificance. Our mission today is to explore a fascinating, highly structured, cosmological worldview found in Decent Thought.
Specifically, we're diving deep into the origin of the universe and the architecture of the three realms, which are heaven, earth, and humanity.
And just to set the stage, our stack of sources today relies heavily on a really detailed transcript of a lecture on Daisen Jin Ryo cosmology.
Yeah, and to make sure we're grounding this properly, we're also filtering these ideas through the academic frameworks of scholar Choi Won-hyuk. He specializes in the research of yin-yang and the five elements.
Right, which gives us both the philosophical theology and, the actual structural mechanics of how this universe operates.
Yeah.
And the scale of those mechanics is staggering.
It's not just a vague creation myth. We are talking about what the universe is physically trying to build.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if we want to understand our job as the observer of the universe, we have to start at the absolute beginning. So where does this framework say the universe actually came from?
To figure that out, we have to look at this concept of Yeon-won. It translates essentially to the cosmic origin.
The starting line.
Exactly. In this specific cosmological framework, the ultimate source code, the absolute baseline from which all existence boots up, is fundamentally defined as water.
Water.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see it referred to in the texts as Tae-woo.
Okay, I have to push back on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because usually when we think of the creation of the cosmos, we picture, the Big Bang.
Right. Massive explosions, intense heat.
Blinding radiation, fire, all of that.
Yeah.
Framing the origin of the universe as water feels almost, archaic. Why water?
I get that. It seems counterintuitive compared to modern astrophysics, but you have to look at what water represents mechanically and philosophically. Water is formless, right? It's infinitely adaptable.
Okay, I can see that.
It holds immense potential energy, and crucially, it's the absolute prerequisite for life. It's this primordial fluid from which all structure eventually emerges.
So it's less about literal H2O and more about the ultimate state of potential.
Exactly. And from this baseline state of cosmic water, the framework introduces two foundational concepts you might actually recognize: Mugak and Taeguk.
Nuguk and Taeguk. How do those function differently from the origin water?
So think of Mugyuk as the infinite, boundless, unmanifested state. It's pure, raw potential.
Like a battery.
Yes, a battery fully charged but not plugged into anything. Taeguk, on the other hand, translates to the supreme ultimate. That's what happens when that infinite potential starts to move.
So it's the initiation of the circuit.
Right. Taeguk generates the great polarities of existence, the yin and yang that push and pull. So together, the infinite potential of Mujik and the active generation of Taeguk form the fundamental body of the universe.
Okay, so we have the formless water, the charged battery of Mujik, and the active circuit of Taeguk.
Mm-hmm.
But, a battery and a circuit don't just build a functioning machine on their own. Is this just a chaotic physical process playing out blindly?
Far from it. This is where the framework introduces Sangye, the supreme ruler.
Okay, supreme ruler sounds intense.
It does, but we have to be very careful with this term, because Sangye is not just some localized deity demanding religious worship from a throne in the clouds.
Right.
In this cosmological architecture, Sangye is the master architect. Sangye presides over Mujik and Taeguk, basically orchestrating these infinite forces.
So Saojie wrote the laws of physics, the cosmic architect. But wait, that brings up a massive disconnect for me.
What's that?
If the origin is this pure singular force of cosmic water, and it's perfectly orchestrated by a supreme ruler with infinite potential, how does that translate into the chaotic, broken, highly imperfect reality we actually wake up to every day?
It's a fair question.
Like our daily lives don't feel like pure cosmic water. They feel like stress and friction and confusion.
Well, what's fascinating here is how the framework addresses that exact psychological friction. It offers a solution called Yin Wondatong.
Yaonomnatong.
Yeah. When most people hear the word enlightenment or, spiritual mastery, they picture someone detaching from the world.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Picture a hermit meditating on a mountain, just trying to escape the messiness of traffic jams and difficult relationships.
Right. Enlightenment is usually sold as a way to just opt out of the human experience. But Yin Wondatong argues the complete opposite. It translates roughly to connecting to the cosmic origin.
Connecting back to the water.
Exactly. True enlightenment in this worldview is about actively aligning your human mind all the way back to that fundamental cosmic water, the yin on one.
Because water is fluid and adaptable.
Yes. If your mind is rigid, dogmatic, and stressed, you are fundamentally disconnected from the universe's source code. You don't meditate to escape reality. You align your mind with the original source code so you can actually function properly within reality.
Man, that reframes enlightenment entirely. It's less about escaping the system and more about learning how to become like a power user of the system's operating code.
That's a great way to put it.
Which brings me to the system itself. If the cosmic water is the baseline code, what is the actual physical structure that got built from it?
The structure is known as Samgai, or the three realms. And this is a really critical divergence from typical Western dualities. We are heavily conditioned to view existence as a binary, right? Heaven and earth.
The sky above, the ground below, the spiritual and the physical.
Exactly. And usually humanity is just considered a byproduct wandering around on the earth, part of that binary.
Just trying not to mess it up too much.
Right. But in Dasein thought, the architecture is strictly heaven, earth, and humanity. It is a tripod.
A tripod. So if any single one of those three pillars is removed,
the entire universe suffers structural failure. Humanity is not just an inhabitant of the universe. Humanity is a load-bearing wall holding the universe up.
that is a staggering promotion for human beings.
Yeah.
I mean, we go from being accidental passengers to structural pillars. But I want to scrutinize how this structure actually operates, like day to day.
Okay, so the operation of the three realms relies on a concept called Mui Iwa. This translates to spontaneous transformation.
Spontaneous transformation. What does that look like?
You can think of it as perfect, self-regulating automation. It echoes the ancient philosopher Laozi's concept of naturalness. It basically means the architect, Zhang designed the universe to run itself flawlessly without needing constant manual adjustment or micromanagement.
So it's an automated factory.
Essentially, yes. And this factory runs on 4 strictly governed stages: birth, growth, harvest, and rest. The sources refer to this cycle as Sengjing Yangjing.
Birth, growth, harvest, rest.
And what is truly mind-bending about these 4 stages is their fractal nature. They scale from the micro to the macro perfectly.
Let's break that scaling down, because that terminology sounds like farming. How does that apply to a micro scale?
Well, think of a single human breath. You inhale, that's birth. Your lungs expand, that's growth. You pause, absorbing the oxygen, that's harvest. You exhale, rest.
Wow, okay.
It happens in a single day, too. Morning, moon, evening, night. It happens over a year with spring, summer, autumn, winter.
So it's repeating at every level.
Crucially, for this worldview, it also happens across vast cosmic epochs lasting tens of thousands of years. The universe goes through a cosmic spring of birth, a cosmic summer of rapid growth, a cosmic autumn of harvesting, and a cosmic winter of rest.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because setting up this perfectly automated factory creates a massive paradox.
How so?
Well, you just said that Zhang designed the universe to run perfectly on Mui Yuhua, this spontaneous automation. But you also said humanity is a load-bearing pillar that keeps the structure from collapsing. If the machine is perfectly self-regulating and automated, why does it need a human pillar? A self-driving car doesn't need the passenger to keep the engine running, you know?
That paradox is the exact intellectual knot the sources want you to untangle. You're right, the self-driving car doesn't need a passenger to run the engine, but the self-driving car has absolutely no reason to exist or to drive anywhere if there isn't a passenger to transport.
Oh, wow.
The universe runs on perfect autopilot specifically because it is attempting to manufacture a product.
It has an objective.
Yes. The entire purpose of the cosmic automation, the reason heaven and earth continuously cycle through birth, growth, harvest, and rest, is to nurture and grow living things.
That's the output of the factory.
Exactly. This cosmic drive is called Chandajidiok, which translates to the virtue or the power of heaven and earth.
I want to pause on the word virtue, actually, because usually we apply that to human behavior, right? Being honest is a virtue. Paying your taxes is a virtue. Applying it to the physical rotation of the earth feels like a translation error.
It's not an error, but it does require us to redefine our terms. When this cosmological framework talks about ethics or virtue, the term used is dodiok, it is absolutely not talking about human manners or high school ethics classes.
It's not about learning to share your toys.
Right, no. In this context, Dodiok represents the literal, awe-inspiring mechanical power of the universe to create and nurture life out of the void.
So generating life is considered the ultimate ethical act.
The supreme ultimate version of this affirmative power is called Mugikshin Dodiok. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it changes the way you look at a starry night sky.
Because it's not just dead space.
Exactly. The universe is not a cold, empty vacuum filled with dead, burning rocks. Its literal, mechanical purpose, its highest virtue, is the generation of life force.
The analogy that jumps to my mind is a giant, hyper-advanced, fully automated cosmic greenhouse.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Like, heaven and earth are the soil and the sunlight. The watering system, the temperature controls, the lighting. That is the Mu'i-Hua, the spontaneous transformation, perfectly calibrated and running on autopilot.
Yeah, doing its thing effortlessly.
But nobody builds a billion-dollar automated greenhouse just to admire the glass. You build it to grow a specific crop. And what I'm hearing is that the crop this universe is trying to grow is humanity.
That captures the dynamic perfectly. We are the crop. Heaven and earth are the environmental infrastructure dedicated entirely to our growth.
Which naturally leads to the next question.
Yep.
If we are the crop being grown by the universe, what happens when we reach maturity? What happens at the harvest stage of that fractal cycle you mentioned earlier?
This brings us to humanity's ultimate job description. The source texts are incredibly explicit about this dynamic. They state that heaven and earth created humans to use them.
To use them. That is a very provocative phrasing.
It is.
We usually view ourselves as the ones using the earth. We mine it, we farm it, we extract resources from it. The idea that the universe is using us feels almost sci-fi. How exactly does the universe use a human being?
It goes back to your hook about the supercomputer in the ocean. The texts argue that heaven without time, meaning the cyclical movement of the sun and moon, is an empty shell.
Okay.
But time, without humans to perceive it, understand it, and utilize it, is nothing but a mere shadow. Without a conscious observer to actually experience and measure the passage of time, the automated machinery of the universe might as well not exist.
We're the ones looking at the monitor.
Exactly. Our perception validates the entire existence of the three realms. If we aren't here to experience the universe, the whole project is a failure.
And because our role as the observer and validator is so structurally critical, we couldn't just be left to figure it out on our own.
No, the universe had to train us. We needed a curriculum to prepare us for the responsibility of being that third pillar.
Right, because you can't just put a newly sprouted seedling in charge of the greenhouse controls.
Precisely. According to the framework, the historical curriculum designed to train human consciousness included all the major philosophical and religious traditions. Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism.
It's all part of the schooling.
Yes, but it also included rigorous scientific observation, specifically astronomy and geography. These weren't just random human hobbies invented to pass the time. They were the cosmic lesson plans.
That makes profound sense. Astronomy teaches you how to understand time and the mechanics of heaven, while geography teaches you how to understand space and the mechanics of Earth.
Right. You have to understand the first two pillars before you can stand up as the third.
Wow.
And the lecture transcript actually points out a fascinating mathematical validation of this curriculum, pulling from a completely different culture. Pythagoras, the ancient Greek philosopher and mathematician.
The geometry pioneer.
Yeah.
A squared plus b squared, right?
Yeah, that guy. But Pythagoras viewed mathematics as spiritual architecture. He assigned profound meaning to numbers. In his system, 2 represents woman, 3 represents man, 5 represents the human being, and 10 represents God, or ultimate completion.
Okay, so 2 and 3 make 5, representing humanity. I follow that. But how does the 10 connect back to the cosmology we're discussing today?
Well, in the Eastern framework of yin-yang and the 5 elements, the number 10 is the numerical representation of Mujik, the infinite origin, or God.
Wait, really?
Yes. So you have an ancient Greek mathematician analyzing the fabric of reality, and deeply Eastern cosmologists analyzing the universe, and both independently arrive at the exact same mathematical conclusion about the ultimate completion of the universe.
It implies that the curriculum was global. Human beings across the planet were enrolled in the same cosmic university, learning the same structural laws.
Exactly.
But, universities eventually graduate their students. Do we stay in this learning phase forever?
We do not, and this is the critical turning point in Decent thought. The sources declare that the time for passively sitting in the classroom is over. Humanity is now entering what is called the Injan era.
The Injan era. Let's
Yep.
break that down. What does that mean for us practically?
Injan translates to the era of human elevation or human dignity. It signifies that humanity has reached the harvest stage. The crop is fully grown.
So we're graduating.
In this era, it is no longer sufficient to just learn the curriculum, and it is no longer appropriate to simply passively worship deities and ask them to fix our problems.
Oh, wow.
The Injan era demands that humans step up and do the work of managing universal affairs themselves. The term for this management is Chanhasa.
I really want you, the listener, to process this because the implications are massive. Think about how empowering this worldview is. You are not a cosmic accident. You aren't just a random speck of carbon floating on a rock through a cold, meaningless void.
You're really not.
You are the trained manager of the universe's operations. The cosmos spent billions of years putting you through school, through religions, philosophies, and sciences, so that you could finally take the steering wheel. But, and this is a big back, but what does managing universal affairs actually look like on a Tuesday?
Right. Are we supposed to be moving planets around?
Exactly. How do we actually do this?
It looks like how we treat each other. This raises an incredibly important question about our daily priorities. If we are in the Injan era, the era where human action is the pivotal load-bearing force in the universe, then our ethical responsibilities shift.
How so?
The sources argue something that sounds almost heretical at first. They say that in this era, serving and benefiting humanity is actually more important than serving the gods.
Wait, I want to make sure I heard that right. It is more important to serve humanity than to serve the supreme ruler who architected the whole system. How does that not collapse the theology?
Because humanity is the universe's ultimate finished product. We are the fruit of heaven and earth's billion-year labor. To serve humanity, to elevate human dignity, to resolve the grievances of your fellow human beings, is to fulfill the very purpose that Sangye and the cosmic automation set out to achieve in the first place.
It's honoring the work.
Exactly. When you help another person thrive, you are actively maintaining the third pillar of the universe. You are honoring the cosmic effort it took to create them.
That reframes morality entirely. It takes a platitude like, be kind to each other, and turns it into a law of physics. It becomes structural engineering.
It is the ultimate structural integrity. If humanity fails to manage its affairs, if we fail to respect the dignity of the Injan era and instead destroy each other, the third pillar crumbles. And if the third pillar crumbles, the 3 realms collapse.
We have to be the load-bearing wall we were designed to be.
Exactly.
We've covered an immense amount of ground today. We traced existence back to the absolute beginning, to Yon-1, the cosmic water, and the infinite potential of Mujik and Tajik. We saw how the master architect, Sangye, designed the system.
And we examined the flawlessly automated machinery of the universe, the spontaneous transformation of Mui-Wa, cycling endlessly through birth, growth, harvest, and rest, driven by the life-generating power of Xiandoduak.
All of which operates as a massive, intricate greenhouse for the sole purpose of cultivating humanity, the vital third pillar of the 3 realms. And now that we have matured into the Injan era, the universe is handing us the keys and expecting us to manage the property.
It's a huge responsibility.
It really is. Which leaves me with a final thought for you to ponder.
What stands out to you?
Earlier, we discussed how the original cosmic curriculum designed to train us was a unified study of astronomy and geography. a holistic requirement to understand both time and space, heaven and earth.
Right, the dual lesson plan.
But look at how we structure our world today. We have aggressively fractured that curriculum. We force ourselves into these hyper-specialized silos. You're either a science person or an arts person. You work in finance or you work in healthcare. But the disciplines rarely speak to each other.
We've divided the knowledge of the universe into tiny, disconnected compartments.
Exactly. So the provocative question is this. In our modern rush to become hyper-efficient at our little specialized tasks, staring down at our monitors, totally disconnected from the broader systems around us, have we accidentally caused ourselves to forget our actual unified cosmic job description?
Have we become so obsessed with tending to a single leaf that we forgot we are responsible for the entire greenhouse?
Next time you feel overwhelmed by the daily grind or you look up at the night sky and feel insignificant, remember the cosmic water. Remember that a universe without an observer is just a shadow. You aren't just here to pay bills and run errands. You are the load-bearing pillar holding up the cosmos. Act accordingly.